Hello, Austin. I'd like to thank you. Excuse me. I'd like to thank you for allowing me into your homes for this fourth edition of Season 3 of Esoteric Science Roundtable. And I would like to start with a couple of things to catch people up to speed with a few things. For instance, last night, Chris Athanas did not have a live TV show. Some folks may have been looking for him. He didn't have his paperwork together. And so we actually did show up here last night and just put in a tape show, which I inadvertently ended up being a guest on. Wasn't actually intending to. I was sitting a little too close to the table, doing a mic check too close to the time that they were planning on filming, and so I inadvertently ended up being a guest on the show. So that might be showing in the near future on Access in rotation. And so just to remind folks, Chris Athanas is going to be having his live television show, and this series, series season, it's going to be Thursdays at 10 on Channel 16. And just because he wasn't on last week, he should be back on this upcoming Thursday and for the following remainder of this broadcast series season. So we'll see what happens, but as long as the paperwork is squared away, then everything should be up to speed for Thursday broadcast. And I've been helping out a bit, doing the crew work a little bit to help Chris out. So any flaws or any snafus and things of that nature, I kind of have to take the blame for right now. So that being said, keep an eye out for Chris. He is back, and again, Thursdays, Channel 16 at 10 p.m. You should be able to see him regularly doing a live show. I want to remind folks about the metaphysical and philosophical meetings that both us here at Esoteric Science Roundtable and Jeff Contreras co-host at Opal Divines, 700 West 6th Street. We always meet upstairs around 8 o'clock. Very casual, very free. Just show up, sit down, and jump into a conversation, or just open up your ears and listen. Whatever you choose to do, really. And again, it's very casual, and we meet from around 8 till later in the day, later in the evening, and sometimes till 2 when the place closes, or it just really depends. And so I'd like to encourage anybody that's interested to come on down tomorrow to check that out. Oh, not tomorrow, rather. Sorry, next Wednesday, rather. To check out that event. And let's see here. Also, I want to mention Duality magazine that's coming out very shortly. The first issue of a new magazine that'll be available, and it will be a free magazine, which is really amazing considering the amount of time, effort, energy, and the quality that this magazine is going to have. And so I would like to ask everyone just to keep an eye out for that. And it's going to be in various places around town. And the more I'm aware of where and when you can grab a copy, I'll certainly make you aware of that also. But several folks from Access are going to be involved with providing articles for this introductory issue. I know George Humphrey is going to be having a monthly column, Freedom column, and I'm offering a column on duality, which I felt quite honored to be able to do since the magazine itself is called Duality. And again, that should be out the early part of December, so if we can keep an eye out for that. Now, as far as getting into the bulk of the subject matter for this evening's show, last Saturday specifically, on the 8th, there was a very unique event that took place that was an astrological alignment, and it was given the name of the Harmonic Concordance. And some of the reasons for that name, harmonic in the sense of harmonic tones, things that are in sympathy or that are have some sort of a resonant response. And so the idea of harmony, if we think of voices in harmony, voices that may have their individual pitch, but yet they blend together to form a harmony. And this is kind of the idea with this star alignment that we had available last week, in that different stars or different celestial orbs offered up their individual tone for a collective harmonic emission and transmission. And so also concordance, the idea of a concordance is a concord, a coming together, an agreement, coming together for something common, a unity. And so this harmonic concordance, if we want to look at it in those terms, was an agreement between various astrological or celestial entities, orbs, whatever, between stars and planets and things of that nature, planetoids in the case of Chiron, This alignment came together that was very unprecedented in the history of mankind. And so many individuals globally were taking advantage and looking at this rare, unique alignment as something that had a lot of potential, had a great and tremendous amount of potency and potential that was available through this conjunction, through this, excuse me, through this aligning. And also the fact that there was an eclipse of the moon, a full, lunar eclipse at that time that was also adding its harmony, adding its concord to this alignment, this agreement. And also keeping firmly in mind that not just the human body is a type of organism that has self-consciousness, that has free will. There are those higher individuals and higher entities that as well, in addition to humanity, also have their sense of consciousness, their sense of awareness, and to a grander, larger degree than we do. And so we are part and parcel of that understanding by virtue of being on a particular planet Earth. And the planet Earth does have its very own consciousness, its own individuality, and its own work and things that it seeks to accomplish, and its time that it's going to be in manifestation. And it has its own evolutionary process to carry forward, just as we humans do as well. And we see this intermingling, this evolutionary intermingling, and we can be understanding of it, that it takes place at multi-levels simultaneously, excuse me, but that we can take advantage at certain levels, depending on our understanding of events, exchange of energy, and things of that nature. We can intelligently interact with this sort of harmonic alignment, this harmonic concordance, and understand that when celestial globes that have an individual consciousness of a much grander scale than we as individual humans do, when there is a decision to align and there is this ritual and ceremony that's laid out for us in the heavens, excuse me, then we have a lot of opportunity to see the alignment portrayed for us, and then to scientifically understand what types of energies are available through this sort of alignment. Now, certainly, astrology has been around a long time, and certain individuals are going to give it more credence and think that it's a relevant science, and others are going to think that it's just more like a hobby or something silly and fanciful, and doesn't have any real validity or any real scientific meaning or any provability or anything like that. But ancient civilizations have always looked to the heavens and have always mirrored their activities after patterns of things in the heavens. They would mirror their activity in the sense of understanding the alignments, the exchanges between constellations, planets, all the heavenly bodies and orbs. And they would understand that dance, that cosmic dance, and they could see what these alignments would indicate as far as potential energy that man could tap into and take advantage of. And so we're always, from an early age, way into antiquity, aware of these alignments and the potential energy that was involved. Also, we see through the things in the heavens how things also are just in the creation of natural things, in the way that plants grow, seasons, cycles, and things of that nature. Also, man is able to look and see how things on the earth plane mirror the patterns of things in the heavens. And so we can identify, we can see, we can make analogies, comparisons, and that is that's what ancient man has done for a really long time, and that's what we still, modern man has available for him as well, to be able to look and see, take a look into things of this nature, like a planetary alignment, and understand intelligently what this means and what opportunities are available as a result of this, again, this dance, this cosmic dance, this celestial and harmonic ordering, an intelligent ordering. Now, this being the case, this precipitation that takes place, or this energy exchange that takes place when certain things align, going back again to the idea of harmony, harmonics, when we think about notes aligning themselves, notes in a particular key that align, and they can form, for instance, a chord, and you have separate notes, 3 at least, that are going to form a chord, and you're going to have, again, three separate entities forming an alliance, forming a harmonic, forming some kind of a sympathetic resonance in agreement with one another. And so this is the same thing again, following the example of how stars line up. It's almost the same. There's an emission, there's a sound emitted, there's the word, if you will, is emitted through these sorts of exchanges. And as to our ability to interpret and understand this forming of sentences, the more we can play our part in an intelligent exchange of energy for the optimum use of humanity. Now, in events like this, again, it's like a precipitation. It's like a rain event where rain comes down and gets the leaves and the plants wet and it soaks down into the ground. But you don't find instantaneous growth in that instance. You don't find that as soon as the water hits the plant that it's going to blossom or things of that nature. It takes time for the water to do its thing, to get into the ground, and to build itself into the living things for the optimum use of that plant or whatever that may be, animal, and to, again, build into its system. So the precipitation, a rain event, from the time that rain hits the ground till maybe a flower pops up, for instance, there is certainly a time factor that's going to, a lag or lapse between the event and the fruition, the coming forward into manifestation of any appearing thing as a result of whether that be this harmonic concordance or other similar events or other different events for that matter too. Things that we can point to, that events, for instance, that lead to things happening at a later point. They're a catalyst. They're a catalyst in the sense that it's an object that creates a change, encourages change, but it itself remains relatively the same. And a similar event also took place in 1987. And that was called the Harmonic Convergence. And that was very similar in the sense that there was an alignment, a mutual agreement between stars and planets in order to, again, form an alignment and energy exchange. And again, when we think of these stars putting themselves in a particular position and a sympathetic relationship or sympathetic rapport with other stars, then we can see how they can collectively come together to emit, again, some sort of energy that they wouldn't ordinarily be able to emit on their own. Again, this coming together, this intelligent working together at this high level. It's, again, what the science of astrology is based on, and astronomy for that matter too, and it also, again, indicates to us potential and potency and indicators of things to come. And the more that individuals evolve on this planet, it's going to be very difficult. It'll be quite impossible, actually, for any any human evolution to proceed without re-embracing the astrological implications that we have available for us at any time. That science will further unfold itself and further reveal itself to be an accurate and true science as time evolves. And it's going to take again, an amount of time before that is something that is deemed necessary in the minds of the mass, and the minds of mass consciousness and the collective consciousness that will want to reach out and have some understanding of these processes. And these types of disclosures are becoming more and more common and more prevalent in our day and age. And many things are lining up to allow for that to take place. Again, certainly when we have a sort of alignment, a celestial alignment like this harmonic concordance, it's going to basically, again, set up the potential for energy. And then, in turn, you have various individuals of various consciousness, considering that the globes and the celestial orbs have quite a high consciousness in relation to man, and that there are decreasing levels of understanding all the way down to human and then below that as well, that shows how there is a stepping down process in which energy is transmitted from one individual or one area to the next, to the next, and to the next. And it's stepped down or reduced so that it can be made adequate and right and proper for each individual to partake of and make the optimum use of. Certainly if we think about electrical devices, if we try to plug the wrong kind of if we try to put too much energy into an electrical device, we're going to blow it up. And that's kind of the same with our electromagnetic human nature. We have to be very careful as to what sort of charge and what sort of things we internalize, because we can do damage. And that is why there's a natural evolutionary safeguard and process in place that makes it to where each individual along this chain of transmission or commission is able to get what they need at the place where they need it. And so this energy is dispersed or dispensed among the many so that it can find its way into various areas and can be made use of in very myriad ways, many ways that can be made, put into effect. Because each individual that takes in energy is going to interpret it according to their own understanding, their own point of evolution, and their own place of awareness. And so some individuals are going to take this energy that's available, and they're going to have ideas arise in their mind, maybe not necessarily originating specifically from them, but they're able to gravitate and tap into some ideal as a result of this exchange of energy. And that's the sort of thing we find with astrological alignments and things of that nature, that the energy comes like rain, it precipitates down, and it collects and falls on everyone regardless. Everyone that's exposed to the rain is going to get rained on, but as to how much use is made by each individual plant is going to depend. And certain circumstances are going to factor in as to, how that pans out, how that unfolds. And it's very much like that within humanity, except that we have an intelligent understanding. Most of humanity have an intelligent understanding and realize that we're self-conscious. And so, again, varying individuals are going to not only take the energy that comes into their area of influence and make the most optimum use of it, there are also those individuals that are going to see energy coming in and make plans appropriately at that point. And so we can pre-plan, we can see what's coming into manifestation, and we can adjust and plan accordingly. And esoteric science is really just that. It's a daily exercise in readjustment, refocusing, reorienting, because we're understanding energy exchange. And as we have different energy available to us at all times, we constantly have to refocus, readjust, and reorient ourselves to make optimum use of any energies that are coming our way, and all the energies also that we expend in our daily lives. We want to make sure that we expend energy to the utmost and optimum potential so that we can get more bang for our buck, we can get more work accomplished, and not, just run in circles and not get anything accomplished. We have to stay focused, and that's another example of when different energy is available, certain individuals, certain individuals are going to be more prepared and more able to take advantage because, again, they've done some work to prepare, to understand what's coming, and to make the most optimum use. And a case in point would be for both the harmonic convergence of 1987. I myself was a senior in high school, so I didn't really participate all that knowingly and willingly. A lot of this stuff was very foreign to me, or the vast majority of this subject matter was very foreign to me at that time. But nonetheless, things along the lines of the band Yes. John Anderson, the singer, he wrote a song for their release around that time, which was called Big Generator, and he wrote a song called Holy Lamb, Song for Harmonic Convergence. And it was a very spiritually uplifting song, and it is basically trying to get people, at some level aware of the opportunities available through this 1987 alignment, the harmonic convergence. And so at that level, I was able to participate unconsciously by just listening to this song, and how things of that nature, art and creative expression, also can play in and get us at an unconscious level for a fuller understanding of how we can participate. And so again, with this harmonic concordance, the harmonic convergence, so many people globally from various organizations, religious affiliations, non-religious, pagan, you name it, a vast array of individuals came together in that year to work with this energy and force intelligently at that time. They realized the implications of the 1987 convergence, and so men and women gathered intelligently and collectively to work in a fashion to make the best use of this energy. They understood that the potential for potency was there, and so to bring it in the most optimal manner was on the minds of many individuals worldwide at that time. Now, if we come to this past November 8th, this past Saturday, that many more people, this event allowed for, I don't know the numbers quite frankly, but probably upwards to close to 1 billion people, literally, were at some level involved in this exchange. Some may have just been out for some kind of an astrological evening, just looking at the eclipse through a telescope or something of that nature. But even that acknowledgement at that level, however minimal that may seem, is still at some level an exchange. It's still part of this alignment at a greater level, a grander level. And then there are those that intelligently gathered to do specific work, specific ritual and ceremonial work in order to draw in these energies and to gather them together in a pool collectively. And that is also what happens. We can use an example of the precipitation again. Rain comes down and maybe somebody has a bucket that they'll collect the rainwater, and then they can take that pool and then they can dispense it later. It's very much like that with intelligent work of energy, with energy and force. We gather this energy collectively, we pool this energy by group work, and this takes place. Sometimes it can take place with a group meeting in one location and where 2 or more are gathered, or it can take place where one individual is linking up mentally and emotionally with other individuals in other areas of the globe. And that takes place quite frequently as well, because we're not always able to be in the same locale with our coworkers in many instances. And so we're forced to, in our own location, be an emitter or a transmitter of energy and align or link up in a global fashion using our higher capacities and linking up in that fashion where we don't have to be physically adjacent and juxtaposed to one another. It certainly helps to have individuals in close proximity for that sort of work. But if it's not available to be done that way, then we have to work with what we have available. And as man becomes more intelligent and more capable and more evolved, this global work will be more commonplace. And technology, in some cases, can accommodate that, and not in every instance. But we are more evolved. We continue to be more evolved in our electromagnetic nature, and our rapport with other humans and other living entities, for that matter, is becoming more sensitized, more focused, much more focused. And things like this harmonic concordance allow for that coming together and that potency and that focusing to come together and changing the frequency. Our human bodies were bombarded, if you will, with frequency. And it was very evident to myself and other individuals that I spoke about this with that there was a point around last week that there were a lot of individuals that were seeming out of sorts. They were seeming like they were somewhat just haywire, short-circuited, whatever term you want to use, and just not quite on top of their game for whatever reason. And we can look to these astrological alignments and these kind of implications that are causing, in some cases, these things to happen. And when you get this sort of alignment that took place this previous weekend, or not this past weekend rather, but yes, this past weekend, the 8th, then you're gonna find that again, it's playing itself out, and it's causing unease or disruption in a lot of people. And also, you might have seen quite a bit of news footage about the solar flare activity. We had unprecedented solar flare activity that was coincident or coinciding with this harmonic concordance energy exchange. And that's all part and parcel of a grand exchange of energy. Because again, there's an intelligent exchange going on between planets, stars, constellations, all the various globes, celestial orbs, and heavenly bodies commune with one another, just in the same sense that men get together and they have groups to meet on this, that, or the other, and all these groups form up. We, again, by that action, are mirroring our intent after the patterns of things in the heavens. And it may be at a subliminal level to a certain degree, but nonetheless, it's inherent in us because we have, if you will, star stuff inside of us. And so as the stars move and behave, we emulate unconsciously and consciously that activity, that moving and that shaking of that grand chessboard that we see that's in the heavens. And so that being the case, with this energy exchange, as the pieces on the board move, then it allows for different moves to be played out, different exchanges. It all also is a portrayal of potential. Just because a person on the chessboard, moves a pawn in a certain area, it doesn't mean necessarily that that pawn is going to knock off somebody's bishop or knight or something along those lines. But the potential, once the move is made, the potential to either do some sort of a defensive move or open oneself up to some other move that's going to further hurt them. Again, this is just an idea of exchange on a grand level, and that these implications are there for us, and they play themselves out in the heavens, and we can understand more so intelligently why these things happen and how we can take advantage of them. Again, certain people are going to have more of an easier going with trying to transmit these energies and transmute these energies individually. Other individuals are going to have harder going about it. And it really it can be kind of considered somewhat in terms of, excuse me, when we have the daylight savings time and we have to set the clocks an hour forward or backwards. And invariably, for me personally, that always throws my body clock off, and it takes me several days to kind of reorient myself and kind of get back on track. And these sort of astrological events, when they're this grand, when there's this much of an exchange taking place, and then we can see how our humanity is going to be really affected. And so much more so than just the hour of time change when we have to readjust ourselves for that. I mean, this sort of alignment allows for the type of energy exchange that, again, is not always so easy just to take in and to make use of, because it's causing a lot of disruptions, and we can see examples of that quite a bit. And I think we'll see more so in the near future a lot of different distractions. I mean, we are always getting distractions in the media, and we're always getting distractions, but we're being bombarded with all sorts of distractions at all levels. But I think we're going to see that more so, that you're going to see a lot more superficial, nonsensical, just waste of time sort of things thrown out and propped up in a place of in a real obvious place, trying to focus attention to these things, because there's so much going on that's unraveling in an esoteric or inner sense, that there has to be a show. There has to be the refocusing of attention and the diversion of attention, so that certain serious unravelings that are going on right now, and there are a lot of different things that we could put a finger on, but certainly with different political shakings out and different economical shakings out and things of that nature, and policy making and social policy and things like that we see, there's a definite reorientation and a reassessing of values. That's a very important thing as well. We're getting a real reassessment of the value structure, the value system, and it's on an individual basis, it's a community basis, nationwide, and then on a globally, we're looking at things as far as what people, as far as a moral stance, as far as a value stance, as far as what people feel is important, as far as what people feel is just unnecessary and trivial, and certain things that people are sometimes afraid to discuss, certain things that are taking time to penetrate the mainstream. And one example would be, like, for instance, hang-ups about sexuality and human sexuality and things about that nature. That sort of thing you can see, especially with the conflict in the Middle East, that has to be resolved at some level. When you have the suppression of our innate human nature by any body, whether that be governmental or whatever, when you have that oppression, whether it's self-imposed or from outside, when something is limiting people, limiting their free expression, there's going to be a point at some time where there's an eruption, and they can no longer hold back and just subside and just say, okay, I'm just going to take it, I'm just going to take it. That people get to a point where they have to get a change of scenery, have to have a change in the situation, and there is an eruption. There's a disruption and an eruption, and there's a subsequent change of scenery as a result. That happens in all of our lives, and some of us are able to be aware of it and see how we're going through changes. And in some instances, it just blindsides people, and they're just caught off guard, and they don't know what hit them. And again, esoteric science is being aware on a daily basis of energy and force, and constantly reorienting, readjusting, and refocusing ourselves so that we can always, to the utmost ability, be on top of our games and be the most beneficial individuals that we can be, and do our utmost to serve humanity and to alleviate suffering and to foster understanding and enlightenment. I mean, that's in a nutshell that whole endeavor, that whole life search and life goal. And it's a daily process without question. And so again, certain people are going to be more aware of these sorts of things than others, and certain people are going to be able to take advantage of them. I would like to offer a little bit of a word of confidence and reassurance to those individuals that feel that things are just out of hand and that we're really in a bad way, because there are intelligent individuals working that are those that look out for our humanity, that guide and watch over the race, and various other spiritual entities and things of that nature at many varying levels, seen and unseen, that work for the benefit of our humanity and that work for the evolutionary process in general. Our humanity certainly being a part of that, but us being the self-conscious component of the life force on the planet, the mediator between the lower and the higher kingdoms, we have a special place. And so we find the implications of energy really hammering home in our human systems, and us having to assimilate energy all the time and to try to do it, keep that balance between our emotional nature, our mental thinking apparatus, and our physical well-being also. We have to keep that balance into play. If we can't do that, then we're going to have disruption, disease, and our system is going to go haywire. But I would just like to, again, offer a word of encouragement that there are those individuals that are intelligently working and gathering with energy and force for the benefit of humanity. And so, just in the same sense that there are those that are working for some collectively and some individually for their own selfish ends to compromise humanity, the impulse and the trend towards the beneficial nature of these guides is much more prominent. The bulk of those individuals, their intent is much more towards the helping and the healing of humanity than it is towards the enslaving of humanity. And granted, most of these individuals do work in a behind-the-scenes manner, but nonetheless, there is a hierarchical exchange that takes place, and there is just almost an unwritten and unspoken, to a large degree, understanding that's global among many individuals about their place in a plan for the evolution and the benefit of humanity. It does exist. There is such a thing as a plan for our human evolution that exists as an archetypal pattern, as a model based on love. That is exactly what we are trying to instill and to propel and move towards. And that some are more aware of it than others. But that's the ultimate goal of our whole evolutionary process, is to express love and to not hold back love among and between our fellow men or any other living thing for that matter. To have that open and allowing free exchange is the goal of our humanity. And so I would like to once again, encourage folks that yes, there are those individuals. There is that plan and there is that chain of hierarchy that allows from the divine all the way down to the most, downtrodden, neglected, and lowly human on the planet, regardless of their position. Everybody, the sun shines on everybody. It's just as to whether we want to realize it or take advantage of it. it does regardless. We all have the opportunities. It's just how much do we want to take advantage of it. It really boils down to our free will, our free choice, really, as to how much we want to get involved, or if we want to just stay on the sidelines and just watch and be spectators. We have that right to do that as well. I certainly don't encourage that. I encourage folks to try to get involved in some way with whatever that may be, whether it's doing something creative, being an artist, whether you want to make money and be successful in a commercial venture, or you have an aspiration towards politics and governmental things, maybe the religious community and something of a spiritual nature, or whatever that may be. I encourage people to get off the sidelines and to jump in the game, because we have real opportunity. And you hear people talking about, things are coming to a head. This is a real opportunity. It seems like, every day is an opportunity, which, yes, it is. Every day is an opportunity for us to take advantage of. Some things have more potential than others, and we can intelligently understand and make use of those days or those opportunities. But every day is an opportunity, and for us to take that for granted, I think, is a real mistake, because in spite of how dismal things may seem, again, even the most downtrodden individual has that same opportunity, for grace from the divine, if they seek it. It's quite simple if we pursue it. And so getting discouraged, it's part of our human nature, it's part of our emotional makeup, but to be overly discouraged or to dwell in some sort of a discouragement is not advisable by any means, because you're going to destroy your human system. You're going to break down yourself with anxiety, unrest, and nervousness, and you're going to cause disorder and disruption in your system, and that's very non-productive. And so again, I would, in spite of where we may be, in spite of things seeming negativity, I would ask that people please try to focus on just optimism. They may not be able to see anything optimistic on their horizon whatsoever, but just the idea of optimism, the idea of something better, a better opportunity, and another opportunity. Each day allows for a new, different opportunity, and so we can move forward with that understanding, with that reassurance. It's really up to us. Certainly, mistakes from the past sometimes have a way of coming back to haunt us and staying around and finding themselves as fixtures in our lives, and that's something to consider as well. But again, considering each day as a clean slate is really a beneficial way to try to go, if at all possible, and that helps us put things in perspective, and helps us keep things in context, and helps us not to be so overwhelmed by the "oh, woe is me, everything is crumbling down around me, and everybody's out to get me" kind of mentality. We got to just take things, deal with what we can, one piece or one portion or one event at a time. And again, the more we intelligently work with energy and force, the more we can use that to our advantage for the helping of others. It's really up to us as to how much we want to learn about ourselves, learn about our environment, and learn about natural law, learn about the laws that make this evolutionary process, that carry out this evolutionary process, under the underlying currents that make all these things happen, that we have access to understanding at some level. It's really up to us as to how much we want to choose to perceive, or how much we want to ignore. It's entirely up to us. Let me go ahead and grab a call and see what's going on this evening. Hello, caller, you on the air?
Hello, Corey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, glad to see you back on the air, brother.
Hey, thanks. All right, hey, and to check out Chris Athanas, he's back at on Channel 16 at 10 on Thursday, and don't forget Brother Jeff, Therefore I Am, Channel 16 at 10 on Tuesday evenings, and you get your metaphysical triple play for the week. So let's see here. Okay, again, considering that we are electromagnetic by nature, and that the stars and all these things as well have an electromagnetic nature or origin, we understand that sympathy, that rapport, that exchange of energy that takes place. And so we can really work with that if we so choose. Again, I keep emphasizing that. What are the ways in which we can intelligently work with energy and force? Well, again, the term man know thyself comes highly prominent in this whole understanding. And that going inside, that internalizing and understanding oneself. And when we understand ourselves, then we can get a fix on our particular motives. Then we can determine what it is that motivates us. Why is it that we feel a certain way about a certain thing? Why is it that, we feel motivated to do this or not to do this? Why is it that we're lazy in this case and not lazy in this case? An honest assessment of ourselves, looking at ourselves and understanding what it is that makes us tick, essentially. And then we can look at our place from that understanding in a larger context, and we can see our relationship with other individuals, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's in the relationship with our companions and significant others, family relationships, any kind of group affiliations. We can see from our understanding of ourselves how we work within a group, and then we can understand that exchange of energy that takes place, and what different people can bring to the table, so-called. Everybody has some capacity, some capability, some ability, and to intelligently work together and to say, hey, you can do this, or I'll do this, and somebody else will say, hey, I'll do this, or what have you, to come together under some sort of a plan to tap into everybody's resources. That is very much esoteric science. And what it is that compels individuals to meet is that sometimes goes unrecognized or unconsidered. And there is a definite toe or undertow or undercurrent or electromagnetic current, if you will, that carries people and ties people to one another. And we have karmic ties, and we have all these other ties and links to one another that have to be played out. And they may not always play out in one particular incarnation or lifestyle, or lifetime rather, but they may find themselves in another lifetime, or oftentimes through very strange and seemingly random events, we meet people that seem to have much significance for our lives. And so we will have some kind of a rapport with this person. And there is also that idea that, if you meet somebody and you just all of a sudden just feel just drawn to them, like you've known them all your life, or you just feel compelled, something about them, you just feel some real link, some bond with that individual. And we can see that that is part of this current that takes place, just in the same sense that this happens on a vast scale. When we look up at the stars, and they do the same thing. We have that same current running through our veins and through our sympathetic nervous systems as well. And we are going to, at certain times, tap into that. And we're going to we're just going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we need to be doing a certain thing at a certain time, or this person needs to be involved with this project, or I need to work with this individual. And again, that comes more so with knowing oneself and being able to intelligently operate. Now we can see clearly and definitely with whom we can work and what individuals can bring to the table. And that community is forming here in Austin, and it's been in the process of forming, and we see that melding of individuals coming together. And it has its political component, and those people that are doing that more so, like a Alex Jones or a Mike Hansen. And then it has more of the metaphysical component. And you'll find on that end of the spectrum, like a Chris Athanas or a Jeff Contreras or myself, or you'll find somebody like George Humphrey that's mediating, and he tends to have one foot in each camp, and kind of covers the best of both in a lot of ways. But again, we see, everybody has gravitated towards what they feel is their strong point, and then we can collectively work from this medium, in this instance Access Television, or whatever sort of endeavors we want to work upon, these group goals that we set for ourselves. And then we can ask, we can internally seek, and we can respectfully request, who and what, where do I need to direct my energies? And when we get into a place of calm and quiet, and ask in a very honest way, and really honestly assess ourselves, then we'll get those clear-cut, direct impressions. And maybe it will just be a fleeting vision. Maybe it will be something more specific. Or maybe it'll be, you ask that question 5 minutes later, you see something on television, or you read something in a book or an article, in a magazine or something, and it just completely rings in accordance with what you were thinking. Those are the kind of acknowledgments that we find that push us and also, reassure us that we're on the right path or heading in the right direction with our energies and efforts. And these reassurances and reoccurrences will happen more frequently as we understand how to work intelligently with energy and force. And then the acknowledgments, again, will be so frequent that it's not that you'll just take them for granted, but you won't be so like, oh wow, can you believe that happened? You'll just acknowledge it as something that took place, and then you'll just move on. But again, just a subtle reminder, a little gentle hint or indicator that yes, you are moving in the right direction, and proceed. Proceed in that area. It's up to us to be having our radar open to all these things, and the art of listening, the lost art of listening that eludes so many of us in this short attention span theater day and age that we're fully involved in, we're firmly entrenched in. That is a lost art, listening, and I likely will do more on that in the future as far as the lost art of listening and why it is important to listen. Certain individuals gain so much understanding just from listening, and they may seem that they're almost psychic because they're cognizant or they're comprehending, they're taking in the big picture by being aware and listening. That they can amaze people sometimes, but really it's just very simple. It's just being aware, it's just being alert, it's just having an open ear and listening. Stop your chatter in your head for a second and open up and listen to what's out there or what's inside of an inner nature as well. Sometimes our concrete mental mind that's, oh, I got to get groceries, I got to do the laundry, I got to do this, really distracts and just completely shuts off these inner impulses that we may be able to tap into. And so really, it's a science. It's a daily practice. It's a daily building these qualities into oneself. And these contemplative exchanges, these meditative states and things like that, that's a building process as well. You can't just expect to meditate once every week or look at yourself in an honest way maybe once in a while. It has to be a daily thing for us to really get anything out of it, just like bodybuilding or a diet. We have to stick with it to get the results, to see any kind of results happen. So let me go ahead and grab some calls. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, join the FBU, Corey.
Buddy, I think you got that pretty well covered in your area. I'm sure you've got so many recruits coming out of the woodwork you can hardly keep up with them. Let's see. Hello, caller, you're on there.
Yeah, hi. I'm calling in regard to what you were saying about a vision. I've had a vision.
Okay, go ahead.
My vision is that Dallas Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl.
I know some people that would like that vision to come true. So I'm kind of indifferent, quite frankly. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
I hope to crush that
Okay. So I just want to remind folks that this should be our new solidified time slot, which is going to be Fridays from 8 to 9 on Channel 10. We had initially tried to get down 16 to be in the Cedar Park viewing area, and it didn't quite work itself out, although other shows did gravitate over towards 16 and are able to take advantage of the larger viewing area. And so I'm fortunate about that, and at least fortunate to be working on Chris Athanas' show, so I can at least, from that angle, help out to get some good information into that area. Let's see. All right, let me go ahead and grab another call quickly. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much, yourself?
Are you all right?
Good, yeah, doing fine.
So what's the main topic or whatever?
Main topic, we're talking about, let me drop that. We're talking about basically alignment, exchange of energy, whether that be looking up in the stars and seeing, an alignment or an eclipse or something like that that shows an exchange at that level, or relationships between people and how those two there's an analogy between those two. As above, so below. When we look up in the stars and how they order themselves and how they arrange themselves intelligently, we also, as individual humans, can order and arrange ourselves intelligently to get certain things done. And we can mirror the patterns of things in the heavens, and we can activate ourselves. We can make our movements and manifestations in line with divine intent, if we so choose. Hello, caller, you on the air? Okay, thanks. Oh, boy. Okay. So, yeah, I'm still kind of trying to fill out this Friday time slot and see how see what the viewership is going to be all about. There aren't a whole lot of live shows on Friday and in the evening or anything of that nature, so kind of uncharted territory to a certain degree. Let's see. Okay, I do want to go ahead and remind folks that we have the metaphysical study group going on, the meeting at Opal Divines, and that's going to be the third Wednesday of the month, which for this month of November is going to be the 19th, and that's going to be, again, next Wednesday. I would like to encourage everybody to come check that out if they have an opportunity. Again, very casual, very free. We meet upstairs around 8 o'clock, and it lasts sometimes till 11, midnight, on till 2 in the morning in some instances, depending on people's interest and who wants to stay up late that particular night. And so, again, encourage everybody to come check that out if they have an opportunity. Jeff Contreras of Therefore I Am and Esoteric Science Roundtable are the host of that event. And let's see, okay. And the fourth Wednesday meetings that Jeff was holding previously at Opal Divines are no longer being held at Opal's. He's got a little alternate venue going on that you'll have to contact Jeff and speak to him about, and he can give you more information on that one. And that's kind of an invitation by invitations kind of situation, and more of a structured meeting with a lecture and things of that nature. And so I want to just remind folks of those events that are coming up. Now again, considering distractions, I think we're going to see quite a few more things coming out that are going to be of a distracting nature, that are going to prevent individuals from getting at some of the unravelings that I was speaking about earlier, because there's so many shiftings and shakings going on behind the scenes that have implications on a global scale, that they're happening in spite of those that wish to enslave us and their intents. And there's this definite effort by certain individuals, certain energies, certain groups, certain focus points to keep our humanity enslaved and in the dark and ignorant about our larger divine nature and the larger role that humanity has in the evolutionary process on this planet and outside of this planet. We're just at the brink of our graduation in so many ways, and right at the brink of an unfolding of information and enlightenment that is akin to a new renaissance, and we'll have that available for us. Again, it's like the precipitation idea, that rain falls down and it's going to rain on everyone more or less equally. It's just as to how much each individual is going to take advantage of that opportunity to take that precipitation and run with it, make something out of it, build it into oneself, and make something out of it. We all have that opportunity. Again, it's a daily occurrence. Certain key things are going to come together, like this so-called harmonic concordance, where you have stars, planetoid, and what have you, various celestial bodies aligning intelligently, and then we have an added opportunity for intelligent service. So we just really have to go from that understanding and use these opportunities when we can. And again, certain individuals and groups are going to be more aware, and they're going to do more in preparation for these events, and they're going to do more to help out humanity by their intelligent understanding of energy and force. And again, those that are not aware are going to, in many instances, just proceed as if nothing took place. And they may be affected, and things may seem a little strange, but they just won't be able to really put a finger on things. They'll just seem out of sorts. And so that's another thing to consider as well. Let me go ahead and grab a call. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi. Hello?
Yeah. Years ago, I took my 3 sons camping to the Harmonic conversion, way out in the woods. I can't remember the name of the park, but we had a campfire going, and it was wonderful, and not a damn thing happened. Now, everybody thought Jesus was going to come back, or so the stars were going to fall out of the sky. Not one thing happened.
Well, that's exactly... well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I can remember it was this big harmonic conversion.
Yeah, in 87. That's
City of
87.
Austin was just silly about it. Okay?
Well, I understand that, and that's my point that I wanted to come out with this show, is that just like rain that falls down on the plant, is it going to instantly bloom at that point? No, it's going to take some time. It's going to take time for the rainwater to go and do its thing, and for it to build into the plant, for some sort of results to be demonstrated and to appear finally, to manifest eventually.
Well, you're such a positive person.
Well, you know, I just don't look. Instant gratification is such a fallacy. It's such a myth. We're so caught up in glamour and things of appearances, and we want things so quickly that we're often, you know, we're fooled into thinking that we have to have everything right now, here and now.
Dude, I'm probably twice as old as you. And
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm a very patient person.
Okay.
That's not my problem.
Right.
I'm saying that you're a man and you have an instrument that I don't, and which makes you a winner. And I'm a woman, and you know, for like 50 years, everything I try, I don't win. Okay? Women are just born losers. And
I disagree entirely. I'm going to let you go with that. No, but I disagree entirely. It's a matter of balance. It's a matter of the man finding his female nature or what have you, the yin and the yang. It's a matter of finding balance in our emotional, mental, and physical nature. Women play a very important role in our evolutionary process. And as events play out more so, you're going to see that that feminine energy is going to really recover and really recover its place of prominence more so. And the male-dominated aspects of society are in very short order, going to fall by the wayside. And we're going to embrace, collectively, this understanding of our feminine nature, feminine energy, and how we need that very desperately, along with the male-dominated energy. They both have their place and their appropriate, you know, position, but it's getting to where we need to recover the feminine more so. And these kind of astrological events, like the convergence of 87 and the concordance of a week ago, are allowing for that emphasis, that frequency shifting, and that aligning to refocus from, again, the patriarchal, male-dominated way that things are to a fuller embracing of the full meal deal. We want to get both aspects. We want to bring the totality into play and within ourselves. And that, again, is part of esoteric science. That, again, is part of this energy exchange that's available for us. We can embrace that aspect of us if we so choose. You know, it's going on the assumption or going on the intent that, you know, I am a loser, I'm a born loser. Well, if you have that firmly affixed in your mind, then that's exactly what you're going to be. But if you can get past that programming, get to the point of understanding that we are unlimited potential, that we are abounding with opportunities innate within ourselves, then we can run with that and make that a paradigm, a realistic manifestation in our lives. It's really entirely up to us. If you accentuate the negative, you're going to get negative. If you focus on positive things, you're going to bring positive into your life. It's very simple. Energy follows thought, as the physicists tell us, and that plays in very intimately with all of esoteric science. Intelligent use of energy and force, a constant refocusing or reorienting on a daily basis to make the optimum use of what's available for the benefit of the most individuals. I'd like to thank Austin for tuning in. Take care. Have a nice evening.